Frank, how are you? And I'm excited about our guest today, Frank.
Yes, I'm always willing to speak to filmmakers since I am one myself.
Yes, Frank's a filmmaker. You guys are going to have to trade emails afterwards. Our guest today is Tom Carroll, and Tom's going to talk about uh, The Stress is Killing Me. It's a March release, and we are in March 7th on VOD and everything. Tom, how did this all start?
Well, it's a feature film. The Stress is Killing Me. It's out today. Today is the release date. And it's a comedy about eight people who come back for their 20th college reunion. And they're all successful, doctor, lawyer, IT guy, advertising exec, but the stress of their lives, which is what we're all going through, is killing them. So they decide they take a house together and they decide they're going to try their dream jobs. Everybody's got a dream job. And it doesn't go the way they think it's going to go. And it's kind of, it's funny. It's kind of a hilarious situation that they're in. And that ultimately they realize that the lives that they're leading, the careers that they built for the last 20 years actually are pretty good.
Wow. I mean, I find that very, very interesting once you look back and reflect on things that you're enjoying things, but yet success is stressful, Tom. And then I'll have Frank ask a question.
Yeah, your film has echoes of The Big Chill.
Right.
Uh, Tell us about that.
Well, the story's not the same, but the premise is the same, which is that, these people are stuck in a house for a period of time, and the Big Chill, it's just a weekend, but this is longer. But it's also about the generation that they're going through. The Big Chill way back then was about what people were going through. This is about what people in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s are going through because their careers are stressful and they've lost sight of the fact that what they're doing is pretty good. So it does have a sort of Big Chill generational kind of connection for people who are kind of frustrated with their careers and have kind of forgotten how great, how hard they worked and how great their contribution to the world has been.
What are some of the dream jobs that they went into?
Good question. They're the usual doctor, lawyer, whatever. One wants to be a teacher. One wants to be a sex therapist. One wants to be a detective. And here's one of the great ones. One guy refuses to tell everybody what he wants to do, but finally they get it out of him that he wants to be a priest. And everybody cracks up because this was the guy in college who was the biggest drinker, the biggest partier, the wild man. And here he is 20 years later. He's an IT guy. He's got a good job, but he really wants to be a priest. And it shows what happens over 20 years and how much people can change.
All right, Paul, go with your question for Tom.
So, hi Tom. So your characters are actually role playing in the new their dream jobs.
Yeah, what like the teacher, for instance, does a class, and the detective has to actually solve a case. And the artist is, the artist who's been dreaming of being a painter her whole life, goes out, gets a bunch of canvases, and looks at a blank canvas and has no idea what to do because she hasn't painted for 20 years. So, yes, they all find a way to try their dream jobs.
I want to jump on something really quickly, Tom. This is just interesting. And the fact is, I'm living my dream job, meaning I get to do
Good.
media that help build my business, my digital agency, and I get to do everything I want to do, and it doesn't feel like work. But entrepreneurship becomes addictive. And I've gone through these phases where I'm just so focused on that, nothing else, which a project like this can become like this. A filmmaker could become so into what they're doing that they forget the rest of their life. But yet that work life is fantastic, but the balance is not there. Is there any discussion of that in the film in a lot of ways when you think about specifically
Well,
work-life balance and how we screw up? Because work is such an important, fulfilling thing, regardless of what work you do. But because once you stop, people die most of the time, unless they find a passion.
good point. You know, Neil, it's true what you're saying that a lot of people have their dream jobs. They've worked 20, 25 years to make it so. The stress is just getting in the way. And that's kind of what the current that runs through this movie is that people just have to step back and say, you know what? Maybe I have my dream job. Maybe there's some other great job out there that I'm looking at that's just, it's a fantasy. And once I try it, I'll give you an example. My wife is a teacher, and I've always wanted to be a teacher. I love to teach. But she comes home with horror stories about, the kids won't listen and that they won't read the assignment and they, give her the finger. And I go, well, wait, maybe being a teacher's not so great. Maybe what I'm doing is my dream job.
Right. Or you found it. Like I said, entrepreneurship is an addiction. That's all. I have to write a book on that at one point and just say it's just because when you have a project, I'll give you an example, Frank's projects or Paul's books, it becomes a lifestyle. So I'm going to ask the two of them because really they're retired, but they have their own new lifestyle. Paul's
Right.
books, Frank's, both authors, and Frank is a filmmaker. Doesn't it at times become so addictive, Paul? I'm going to ask this question to you when you started writing, that it becomes like such a part, it's so passionate, it makes you so fulfilled, but yet it doesn't feel like work, but it's a challenge for everyone around you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is addictive, and once you start, it's kind of like even if you finish the first book or second book, you still want to. Oh my God, I still have more story to tell, right? So yeah, so absolutely, yeah, it's addictive for sure, and it kind of alienates people around you. Yeah, sure, there's no question about that.
No guts, no glory, right?
Tom, and then I'm going to go to Frank. What was your thoughts on that, Frank?
Oh, people ask me, they say, where do you get your ideas? And I said, well, I don't get them, they get me. I kind of sneak up on me and I go, oh, that's an interesting idea. And I just decide to pursue it. Like right now, I'm focusing primarily on Westerns, and we finished the uh, Jonathan Smythe series. So now I'm working on another series, another three-book series. And then behind that, I've got almost like a feature film story. So I don't know. I just can't sit there and do nothing. And these things, these ideas come into my head, and I say, okay, well, let's pursue them, right? And that's what I do.
Well, you know what? We're going to talk about something, Tom, that just came out, and I don't know if it's true or not true. I always come up with these crazy ideas, but I saw this on Facebook. Literally, our immortality might happen now, that we might be getting into the sci-fi time where we'll never be able to die. So we better find things that are passionate if we're going to live forever. We better find things after we work out of our job because we have to let other people be in a job. So, Tom, this is a great discussion because we're going to live longer. We're going to have to work longer. So, we better figure out through this conversation, this film, are we really doing what we love?
Yep. And there's a real exploration in this film of this because they have their current jobs, say the woman who's a doctor and she's an ENT and she's tired of looking into ear canals, but she ultimately realizes that being a doctor is terrific and she goes to work in the ER because, it's more fulfilling than looking into ear canals all day. But she realizes that being a doctor is really great and really important. So you're only onto something. There's got to be an exploration, and we've got to figure out a way that the stress doesn't get in the way of sort of a satisfying career.
And that's where a career or life or a lifetime never retiring. I'm never retiring, Tom. So I got
Me
to
neither.
really focus on my health and I really want to touch back in that. But Frank, all four of us ultimately are doing something that we love. Do you wish, Frank, that that's what you did all your life is what you're
Yeah.
doing now, writing books and film?
Yes, I tell people that I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Me either. I've already figured out what I want to be when I grow up. It's very simple. I do podcasts 24/7. I go ahead and create content and live life and be location independent and go anywhere I want to go. And the older I get, then I'll get to travel all over the world interviewing people. being a journalist in that way that you can monetize, and that's what a goal for anyone who creates something they love, they figure out the monetization, and that has to be a product or service. People just don't get that. They sometimes create something that's not monetizable. That it becomes just something where it doesn't feel like work. Say, oh, I gotta go. Like a client told me tomorrow, you want to meet? I'm like, okay, it's not, I'm not gonna be like, oh man, I gotta work on a Saturday. It's a totally different thing. So, Tom, what did we learn about the stress is killing me? That's the thing that hit me because I think that, and I would love to look at blood pressures of entrepreneurs, CEOs, and people with high stressful jobs and how much are suffering some health wise. Is that one reason why you had the title?
Well, it's the reason why the exploration of the film, because what I noticed is that people in careers, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, were really feeling the stress of things, right? And that was leading to health problems and leading to, stressful kind of situations and personal problems in their relationships and stuff like that. And sort of in it's a wonderful life kind of moment. It was like, let's try to remind people through comedy that what they got is pretty good, and you're already there because you love what you do and that's what you want to do. But a lot of people, you hear from a lawyer, "Yeah, I don't really like being a lawyer. I don't really like being a doctor. Everybody's, I'm tired of health insurance, whatever." And you go, I understand. The problem is you worked 20 freaking years for this and you want to be very proud of it. And maybe there's something else you can do in that world that will bring a lot of people a lot of satisfaction, including yourself.
So, Paul, what do you think of this immortality thing that potentially in the next 5 years you never can die? That just came out with AI,
Well,
with the ability of putting chips in and then looking at certain health, we can live forever. What would,
yeah, not in my lifetime. Yeah,
no, it's seriously
I
saying
don't see
five
it.
years. See, this is where technology is going crazy. You might think, and are you going to go to another planet? So I'm definitely going to be an interplanet. I'm going to move. I definitely want to be in the moon and Mars. So I want to keep my health as great. So when I'm in my 60s or 70s, I'm 52 right now, I can go and travel not just the world, but other planets. We are living in a time unlike any other time ever in
In
our history.
history.
Robert Heinlein wrote a science fiction book many, many years ago, and the title was Time Enough for Love. And he he wrote about a character called Lazarus Long who just doesn't die. Okay, and he lives for a long, 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 long time. And somebody asked him, what you're living for such a long time. What's the objective of it? What's good about it? And he says, well, it gives you time enough to love. And I thought that was really kind of neat. You got a whole lifetime to figure out what love is about and to feel it. So that's what this whole conversation reminded me of is that Robert Hyland's book.
Tom, this is a different interview the way we've structured it, but it really gets people to philosophically think about your title and also the story. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and we've asked people, we're an independent film, right? So the big studios are making 200, 300 million dollar movies now, and it's there are not a lot of comedies that are really relatable to what you're going through. We're trying to fill that void where people laugh, they have a good time, they're entertained, but they also come away with a different perspective about their lives. And that's where the stress is killing me sort of comes in.
You know,
I
every story's got to have conflicts. What are the
Right.
conflicts in yours? It's
That's a really good question, Frank, because yeah, they got it. The conflict comes when they try their new jobs and it doesn't work out the way they think it's going to work out. And they all have to struggle with the fact that, oh, I've always wanted to be a teacher, but I can't control my class. Right. And the scenes are comedic, but the struggle or the conflict is in them coming to grips with the fact that maybe their dream jobs were fantasies, and maybe they like what they do a lot.
All right, Tom. So where is the best place people can connect with the film? I today, congrats, it's out, right?
Thank you.
It-
Yeah,
it-
it's out.
it-
Amazon
it-
Prime is probably the best place, but it's also on Apple TV, YouTube, and 12 others. Amazon Prime is probably the easiest for most people, and it's out, and I love talking about it. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. So what is your goal as a filmmaker? Is this it, or are you going to keep doing some more?
No, like you were saying, I don't want to retire. I've got 5 more films, and we've got a couple that are in development right now. And I'm from New Mexico, and we have a great film hub here now. It's rivaling Hollywood. Netflix has got a big studio here, and it's just a great place to make films. So me and my team and our crew are ready to make more films, and we hope to be shooting this summer.
All right. We appreciate it, Tom. Everyone needs to check it out. The stress is killing me, but appreciate
Yeah,
it.
they can go to the stressiskillingme.com and watch the trailer if they want to check out the trailer first.
And see, that's something when I'm in those days where I'm saying the stress is killing me. Thank God I don't have to go to a day job. Ha. And
Well,
then,
great. You guys are great to talk to.
yeah, I appreciate it, Tom. Thanks.